Welcome back once again to FHL Community Episodes. I hope you are enjoying and learning some things that we are discussing this in the past several weeks. This time we're going to talk about the character of Jesus based on John 4 1 through 9. And so this is about when Jesus was left Jerusalem because the Pharisees were arguing that he was baptizing more people than John, and then he just doesn't want controversy. So he decided to go through Samaria to his destination. But there's another way to do that. However, he took the road less traveled, as we can say, that the Jews are doing. So let's read from John 4. We'll just pick up at 4, verse 4. Now he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. So again, this is a very rich topic that we may be doing 2 parts or 3 parts on this. But again, Jesus has been known to break the barriers. He's been known to break the tradition of his ancestors because he wants to bring the atmosphere of heaven wherever he goes. The culture of heaven, rather than continuing to follow the tradition that sometimes, tradition are good. I'm a Filipino, and I like to keep some of our traditions, but not all traditions are perfect. And that's why we just have to step back and take a look and say, okay, well, is this tradition really still relevant in our current time, or is there a flaw there? So there were a lot of flaws in the traditions that Jesus' ancestors had. So this is one of them. So let's take a look at the character of Jesus based on these verses. The humanity of Jesus. He was tired, exhausted, and thirsty. The Apostle John tells the story that Jesus is not free from the burdens of life as it is for us. He told us one who was tired and needs to go on. Many times in our lives, we feel tired. I just came from vacation. A friend of mine and his wife just came from vacation. We need a break because, life could be tiring, and sometimes you need to take a break. Now, this shows the character of Jesus. He needed a break. It was hot. He was tired. He was thirsty. So it just shows that he told us one who was tired but needs to go on. So, but you know what? We cannot quit in life. We need to go on, even though there are things that we have to deal for, like a few months or a year or whatever. So also, another character of Jesus under this being a human is that he needed a break. So he stopped by at the well. He need a break. And like what I mentioned earlier, all of us need a break. All of us need to step back and just take a breath and then look at what's happening in our lives, or maybe just don't do anything, right? Sometimes it's good just to sit and don't do anything. Don't even think, because that rejuvenates our body. But with Jesus, he needed a break because he had a long walk to his destination, and they stopped by at this town called Sychar. And then also it shows here that we need others to help us. And Jesus, even He's God, he still needs help. And for us, like in this pandemic, many people were, um, you know, had had to take a lot of breaks because of the wear and tear in our lives because of this sudden pandemic that happened, and we need help from others. Just like there were a lot more food pantries that were open during right after the pandemic. A lot of people needed help, and so if you are one of those, whether you need food, whether you need counseling, whether you need just somebody to talk with. All of us need help. If Jesus need help, all of us need help as well. So that just shows the character of Jesus. That again, our model is Jesus, and if he became tired, thirsty, he needed a break, and then he needed the help of others. And that's why the food pantries, we need to take a look at the opportunities that we can provide others beyond food, because yes, they may need food, but at the same time they may need emotional help, they may need assistance as far as resources that they need from time to time. So again, that is one of the characters of Jesus, is the humanity of Jesus, and it's a perfect example for all of us that we get tired, we need rest, and we need help. Next is the warmth of his sympathy. During those times, the woman would not have even gone near the well to avoid a religious leader. And that's the tradition. So let's take a look in here again in verse 9. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans." This is another tradition breaker that he's going to do, is that not only talking with a Samaritan, but this one is a Samaritan woman. And even fellow Jews, the Pharisees, do not talk to the women in public places, and that's their tradition. So at any outreaches, we have to set the atmosphere of love and sympathy, because people can sense it. Why the Samaritan woman went there? She could have just saw a Jew, a rabbi, and because of her past, she might just go back and avoid Jesus. But she went there because the warmth of Jesus' sympathy that she can feel. Now, let me ask you this. Have you had an experience when someone come in a room and you felt different? And that's the same thing. When in any outreaches, whether you're picking trash in the streets, or helping an elderly, or even at the food pantry, people can sense it. How you react to them, even without words. That's because there is this atmosphere that you create. Sometimes what we call is like a boundary. If we put a boundary, that's just like, okay, I'm the one giving you food. I have my rules and regulations, and this is my boundary. But for Jesus, he break that boundary. He let the Samaritan woman, a different gender, a different race, all right, and that's what he did. So the Samaritan woman came over and then start talking conversation. She might still be indifferent, but she felt the warmth of his sympathy. Next is we have set our heart. We have to set our hearts always ready to listen and to respect one another. At food pantries, we we it's better just to listen. Most of the time, it's not just like listening to our stories, but listening to others' stories. We have to set our hearts always ready to be sympathetic, to hear what the other person is talking about. Because again, when people come to food pantries, they may have several baggages. And again, not everyone, but that's true. I mean, you and I, carry a lot of baggages. When we go to church or school or grocery store, we carry a lot of baggages on our back. And sometimes all it takes is just like one thing that will trigger um, that something in our heart, and we'll feel bad or start a fight or whatever. So when people come to the food pantries, be aware that they may have came from a relationship disagreement, or maybe money's tight, on top of like the refrigerator is empty, and that's why giving food alone is not enough. And I think someone said that um, giving cure to a person with a cold heart is really not a cure. It's not charity, because charity again has something to do with how you feel, how you emote, instead of just giving things. So again, the next thing is that the warmth of his sympathy. Then the third character is he is breaker of barriers. We talk a little bit about that. There has been a history of hatred between Jews and the Samaritans, because the Samaritans were mixed race. They were occupied by the Syrians, and then the Syrians brought many people to Medes, to Media, and then in Media there were also a lot of people that were captivated from different culture. So they were all there together, and then they intermarry, and then the tradition broke down, and then the culture, different cultures, and then the Jews said, well, you are mixed race because of intermarriages with the races, again, due to Median conquest of Samaria. Now let me ask you this. Isn't this true in our nation right now? We judge others based on nationality, based on race, and based on education. We judge people that we help sometimes, why can't they get a job, or he's driving a nice car and better car than me, or what? You just never know. We never know the story behind each individual person that come to our food pantry or even to our outreaches. We talk a lot about the social bias and the social justice and things. I tell you what, yeah, we need to have the social justice, and that's why America is probably number one as far in the nation, in the whole world, in charitable contribution, in volunteering. But I tell you what, social justice is not enough. Spiritual justice, we need to share that with other people also, because many people are, or souls are 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 being destroyed by the enemy because we're not seeing that. So again, there's the social justice and there's the spiritual justice. And I'm just going to segue a little bit here as far as the spiritual justice is concerned. When we have the opportunity, not just during the service in a church, not just during like, okay, we're going to evangelize in this neighborhood, but in our everyday life, do we recognize that the spiritual oppression of an individual and offer help or assistance to the individual? And what great opportunity we can have when people at the food pantry come to the food pantry, and then we offer them spiritual justice, which start with prayer. If God could do one significant thing in your life today, what would that be? And by asking that question, we actually break the barrier also, because now we are on the same side, right? Because we feel oppressed sometimes. We fall into sin, and we have temptations, and we have our own baggages, and now we say, okay, if God could do one significant thing in your life today, what would that be? So even if the individual is a non-Christian or a Christian, most of the time they will say, well, if your God can do a significant thing in my life today, pray for, say, for my friend who is in hospital, who has COVID, or pray for our finances, or pray for my son who is addicted to drugs or whatever. And by doing that, you actually break that mold that people will start to open up. And Jesus, of course, is the master of it, and that's why the Samaritan woman opened up to him. So Jesus broke the tradition that a rabbi should not speak to a woman in public. So again, as a breaker of barriers, we see that also in our neighborhood, in our nation, as far as the tradition, even in our own races, there are things that we just do it. That's because it's the tradition. But really, if you look back, it's just like this doesn't make sense. And Jesus is very good in pointing out the things that were done because that's the way we do it, right? And that's what tradition, this is how we do it, even in a church or a ministry, this is how we do it. There's a routine, and don't get me wrong, there has to be routine, but at the same time, sometimes we have to take a look at the system, at the procedure, and see if those things still make sense. Again, just with COVID-19, with the pandemic that just happened in 2020, God had changed a lot of things. We were all forced to change things. The things that were working before did not work anymore, and now we have to adapt to that, those changes. So the Samaritan woman asked a logical question. You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan. So there are times that that's a logical question. We need to ask logical question. You're a Jew, and I'm a Samaritan woman. That's what she said. And what she's saying is that, why are you talking to me? And again, in many outreaches, we have to ask some good questions. Why are we doing this? Not just to be like, that you will be challenging the authority or whatever. It's not bad to ask question, and the quality of answers sometimes based on the quality of questions. So when you question, there's a way to question also, not to accuse somebody, and just ask them the right way. And then again, the quality of your questions, you will get quality answer. And with that, then you can formulate things that, is this really the right thing to do, or do we need to break this habit? So again, those are the three things, characters of Jesus. The humanity of Jesus, he showed us that we need to take a break. The warmth of his sympathy, we need to be welcoming. Again, when someone coming to the room, it's just like something is eerie about this individual. Without speaking, people can sense your some people call it aura, or I would say our atmosphere that we create around us. And then again, in the process of that, we break the barriers. What are those barriers? So these are some things that I'd like to ask you today at food pantries. Look at the people that you work with, that you volunteer with, and also the people that you are serving. Are they tired? Are they worn out? Do they need help? And what kind of help they need? Because again, all of us need help. Or maybe you yourself are tired. And sometimes it's better not to serve if you are tired or you're not in the zone of serving, because that can affect other people. Now, we need to be sympathetic. So again, we need to take a look back. are we, before we start serving, do we look inside ourselves first? And I'm not saying you have to be perfect before you serve, but we have to condition our hearts to the heart of, with the heart of Jesus. We have to condition our heart to be listening more, to be more sympathetic, because many times when you do outreaches, and again, not all the people who come to the food pantries are desperate, but just like you and I, there are people, in any given area, in any given region, they may be, maybe in desperation. They may be at the end of the rope and just about to kill themselves, or maybe just do something to harm themselves. That's why we need to look back. We need to condition ourselves to be sympathetic before we go on any kinds of outreaches. Again, keep the major thing, right? And the major thing is not food in a food pantry. The major thing are the people next to God. So be sympathetic. And also, we are all in this together. There might be times when we will be on the other side. Imagine that. We are the ones, say last year, we're the ones giving away food, and then all of a sudden, something happened in our career, our jobs, and then we may be, I'm telling you, majority of the residents, majority of the people in United States are only like 60 days, if not less than 30 days away from being bankrupt. So when something happened and they lost their job or their income, then they only have, 4 weeks or maybe 8 weeks. And then after that, what happens? So that's why, and something could have changed in our lives drastically. Let me tell you a quick story here. When I used to be in the prison ministry, we go to a prison, and I see young 20 years old boys, and they're there. They are nice, but they just got caught dealing drugs. They are nice people, and they just got caught. But I tell you what, you and I are just by the grace of God that I was not caught. Not that I'm dealing drugs, but there are things that I have done that I could have been caught and then maybe put in a jail, or maybe receive condemnation from other people, or maybe lose my job and then find myself in a food pantry. So again, we are all in this together, and so next time we're going to talk more about the thirst that people are looking for, just like the Samaritan woman. This is just like the part one. So the Samaritan woman, Jesus knew he has to break the barrier in order for him to understand and for her to open up, to him, as far as like, these are what's happening in my life. I came here thirsty for water, but I'm really looking for water, the living water that will quench my thirst forever. And as we know, that's the living water that Jesus, offer us. So remember, you have the power to bring kingdom solutions and resources to the world problems and challenges. And until then, God bless you, and see you at the next FHL episode. But don't leave yet, because I want to show you a 1-minute video of a testimonial of a person that just came to the food pantry and just to receive food, and she was surprised that she received a lot more. All right, God bless you, and we'll see you next time.
Watched the news this morning, and we saw that this food pantry drive here is giving away food, and with the economy the way it is, and situation we're currently going through as well, a personal issue, where money is a little tight, so we definitely wanted to take advantage of it. I'm so glad I did. Had no clue that they were going to have like prayer session, which is, it touched me in a way that I can't even describe, because I needed that prayer in our journey that my husband and I are going through. He was involved in an accident, so we needed that prayer, and the free food we can definitely use. So I'm really glad I took advantage of it, and bless you guys for finding it in your heart to even make something like this happen for us.